Yeah, now let's talk about, this new trend amongst the young Nigerians. Because the week Hushpuppi was arrested, because I went on social media and I was particularly interested in reading comments, from people on this story, and I was shocked at the number of people who were actually clapping for him. People were actually supporting him for this. That shocked me to my marrow.
Patience, when you talk about fraud, talk about Hushpuppi, don't also forget about the other Igbo guy, Invictus. It didn't start with social media. Let us not say it's all about social media. This thing has been there with emails. It started with email. Social media has just given it a new platform. You see, a system where, a country where there is no employment, a country where there are no social securities, a country where even the government itself is scamming the people. You can never get anything good. We have lost integrity in this country. Nigeria has become a country where people don't work because first of all, there is no work. People don't believe that you must follow due process to get rich. Everybody wants to be rich overnight. And a country where people hail and embrace people that live fraudulent life, that's where the problem is. And it boils down to the family, the church, the society. Because, like I keep saying, every family, everybody comes from a family. And we all know ourselves in our families. And that is why, the police is saying, let us start what they call community policing. The same happened in the churches. How many of our men of God today will question somebody who comes and makes a donation that they are not even sure what the person is doing? So we have a crisis in our hands. It's still in this same country that government officials spend money as if they're not bothered. So we have a system where corruption, get rich quick, has become the order of the day. Morality has been thrown to the dogs. So the young people out there believe that, every December I must go home with a car. I must build a mansion. And
parents are not asking questions anymore.
So that is where it is. The family values have gone.
You see an 18-year-old with a Range Rover. No beef. I'm not beefing anybody. I mean, you're free to drive whatever. But the truth is, what amount of work has an 18-year-old actually done in his or her life to own a Range Rover? We are not asking questions anymore. People are just glorifying wealth, glorifying money, and then the moral values.
No, Mazi, let me just end that. Let me end before you intercept. You see, those in power are not also helping matters. I would say this with all sense of responsibility. If you are in government and you are snapping picture with somebody, you have not done a security check on that person. You are on one end flashing the picture on social media. The person is on the other end flashing the picture on social media. And that person is now caught for armed robbery. You should be questioned.
Okay.
I
know where you're going with that.
I remember when somebody working for the former Senate President, Saraki, was caught in armed robbery with a car given to him by the Senate President. And we all came out and said, crucify Saraki because we think he has a hand in it. Okay. So those in government should think twice.
All right. Very quickly, Mazi, let me hear from you.
Yeah, I think let me take from the angle of the home. Fortunately, I'm an advocate of moral value. I remember in 1982, when I was still in the bank, I qualified to be given a car loan. My salary was 4,880 naira, 1982. And no, my salary was 5,054 naira.
Okay.
Then my car loan, if I'm to apply, was 4,880 naira. So it's either you take your 1 year salary or this. I did the application. I was a supervisor in 1982, Bank of the North. So they approved 5,054 naira as my house, car loan. I went and bought a Beetle. I took it home. I thought my father would have rejoiced and clapped for me. Around 3 a.m., my father called me inside his bedroom. Where did you get this money? Have you stolen money from the bank? I can bring the applications I made, my former first application, to my branch manager to area of manager.
For a car loan. Okay.
Then I had to quickly, because I knew my father well, I had to go back to my box. Can you imagine? I drove from Makurdi to the east. And I know my father was going to ask me those questions. And when I showed him, this is my application, this approval from head office, this. And he was relaxed. How many parents can do that today? My son got wedded in 2016. His wife has a small car they were managing. Last 2 years, my son came with a Jeep. I said, what happened? Come.
Let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk. What instruction I gave you? That a young man does not start life with a car. You have married, your wife has a small car. Why not you continue to manage that at this? How many parents can do? When the parents close their eyes to the ills of their children, that is what you get. How many parents will sit down there to, where do you get this money? He mentioned pressure from the parents. Parents will now be comparing you to other people. Look at her mate. So it's a situation that we parents must have to sit down. You talked about a church. I knew a church in, I think, Enugu, Anambra State. When a certain person donated money to a certain priest, I said, take that money, go and pay the salaries of the workers. So if the society, the family has gotten it wrong, the church has gotten it wrong, and it has affected the society, don't be surprised. This particular person, if he contests senatorial election, he will now make sure he goes, and his community will clap hand for him. Okay. It is a problem.
All right, we'll come back and talk a bit more about cybercrime in Nigeria because we need to go on the news break. It's heartbreaking. It's become a routine affair for international police to continue to profile Nigerians, because of what some other Nigerians are doing to dent the image of the country abroad. I don't know if this is a reflection of our culture of poverty, greed, and lost values. When we come back from the news break, we'll continue where we stopped. All right, do join us again. Thanks for joining us again on The Buzz. I still have with me in the studios Prince Francis Chilaka and Mazi Chinedum Obioha. Of course, we're still discussing cybercrimes in Nigeria, the Hushpuppi example. Now, very quickly, we do have the Cybercrime Act, which was passed into law in 2015. The law criminalizes a variety of offenses from ATM cards skimming to identity theft to possession of child pornography. And for instance, it imposes a 7-year imprisonment for offenders of all kinds, an additional 7 years for online crimes that result in physical harm, and life imprisonment for those that leads to death. Now, but like every other law in Nigeria, there's a problem of enforcement. Now, as if the whole clamor and support for Hushpuppi online is not enough, very surprisingly, the whole thing has taken a new twist because people are now making this a party thing. Protesters stormed the U.S. Embassy demanding forensic probe of some politicians. Some protesters yesterday went to the U.S. Embassy in Abuja and they were demanding the arrest of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Timi Frank, Dino Melaye, and other PDP chieftains, and an investigation of their link to the arrested suspected Nigerian fraudster Hushpuppi. Now, the protesters, said to be members of Concerned Citizens Forum, submitted a letter to the U.S. ambassador and the FBI demanding for a probe of Hushpuppi's political allies in the PDP. They insisted that Atiku Abubakar's frequent trips to Dubai prior to the 2019 presidential elections may not be unconnected to Hushpuppi. And according to them, some PDP members might have helped Hushpuppi, you know, to launder proceeds of his crime. Now, this has become another APC-PDP war. We have lost the context of this particular issue, which is the fact that young people today in Nigeria would 100% choose crime over legit work.
Patience. Until we stop politicizing issues in this country, we'll never get it right. It's unfortunate that whenever anything comes up, there are those who fall into the hands of politicians who use them to truncate the issues, to divert attentions. Well, I would say yes, if they have enough evidence to prove, because don't forget that, you know, the court of law is based on evidence. It's not based on rhetorics. So if they have evidence to show that there is a relationship between these people, I mean, you know, but then we all know that in this country, I would say that EFCC has been doing a lot, arresting young boys all over the place. But these young boys have people behind them. Who are them? Who are they? This issue of 419 scamming did not start today. It has been there for long. My question is, why is it that even when people get arrested in this country, as long as it's a high-profile case, it dies a natural death? So so long as we operate two laws in this country, one for the rich, one for the poor, you will remain where we are.
Okay.
One for the rich, one for the poor. When it involves somebody, in quote, it dies a natural death. Was it not 2 years ago, just last year now, a sitting governor was caught in the camera receiving some money in hard currency. And somebody went to court and it has died like that. Until when, if you are caught or you are being accused, you are taken to the court. Let court convict you, sentence you to the maximum prison terms that is required in law. Until though, in fact, when a fish wants to rot, it starts from the head. Until the head gets it right, it will affect the whole system, the body. Look at this person we are talking about, a young guy at 8 years old, Abi, and he has made a bad name to the country. Apart from the ones who have made by ourselves, the politicians and things like that, I'm not interested whether I think who was involved. I'm not interested. If they are actually involved, let them be arrested, please. Let them be taken to court. Whosoever. But you see now, don't be surprised that the protest that was, had yesterday, don't be surprised it was sponsored by a certain group of people. You know, there are so many things we see, we hear, we don't talk. Why must it be members of PDP alone that should be arrested? Let the music play and play around. Whether you are PDP, whether you are APC, whether anywhere you are, if you are involved, you must be arrested, prosecuted, and jailed. I don't look at the pension scheme. Who was that? The general was sentenced to how much? 750,000 naira, and he quickly went to his booth and paid it, and the hot money got lost. I think like that. So we have to call a spade a spade. If you are a thief, let us call you a thief, so that your society, your community will know. I remember there was a particular time, either during Abacha regime or whatever, if you are caught as an armed robber, you'll be executed in your own local community. I think that thing should be brought back, but capital punishment has not solved.
Okay, Fred from Iju is here, and he says parents should stop mounting pressure on their children and also stop comparing them to others. Moral values should be taught from age 2. Thank you, Fred, for that. Now, it brings us back to the issue of moral values in all of this. Now, apart from the parents, who are quite culpable in all of this as well, because we've all relaxed in our responsibilities Can we talk about the religious institutions too and how they are involved in this as well? Please, let's talk about that.
Madam P.
Go ahead,
situation where somebody walks into the church and makes a donation of 100,000 and you clap hand for him and that person becomes lost. He comes to church very late and if he wants to give offering, he'll be the last to give offering with left hand and things like that. Nobody bothers. And when the election comes, he will be the one to be elected as an elder, as a deacon, blah, blah, blah. We know what is happening now. Madam P, the issue is this.
I don't know what is happening, please.
The issue is this. Thank God that Priscilla, he's smiling at every church should look inward. How many church will call their members? How did you get this money to pay this to some of that? How many church will call their members? This money you are giving me as a minister, where do you get it? How do you make it? It's unfortunate. Nobody, please, you are laughing, but you know that's the right thing. It is difficult, almost impossible, for any minister that will receive donation and question the person, how do you make it? The moral value has been thrown to the... You know, on my other platform, before we start each morning, I run what we call moral with Mazi. But people have gone to the extent of discarding that idea from the family, from the home. I taught my children, even my grandchildren, this place you can't tell lies. When you do something, admit that you are the one. Maybe the punishment will be lesser, but it will be more if you deny. It will help you to build confidence. And when somebody asks you, who did this? And you say, I'm not the one. It will take you along. The standard, the family background will help you. But unfortunately today, people are after, like I said earlier, the pressure from the parents.
The pressure from the parents is much. Nowadays, I hear there's something called Yahoo Yahoo Mothers Association.
Yeah, they tried to register it a few months back. I went to see it.
To actually register it, you know. So,
you see, Mazi, when we talk about the church, it's not just the church. It cuts across all religious institutions. The people we have today, some of the people we have today as men of God, in quote, how many of them were called by God?
Well, I don't know that. I wasn't there when they were called.
When you stand on the pulpit and you're prophesying on somebody who has not finished secondary school, who has not gone to university, who has no job, and you're prophesying that, oh, this person will go become a millionaire. What you're actually doing is that you are encouraging that person. Because I know that a lot of people doing Yahoo Yahoo, they will tell you that they have pastors that pray for them.
And they pay tithe to them.
They have imams that pray for them. The only way to curb this, when COVID-19 started and there was a lockdown and churches were asked to go online, you saw what a lot of them were doing. Posting account. In a situation where people are looking for food to eat. People were complaining that we don't have money to eat. You are posting your account for people to donate, to pay tithe.
My church.
How many of these men of God even understand what the Bible says about that? Wait, how many of them understand what tithe is all about? How many of them understand what offering is? Just as the family is putting pressure on the young one, the church is putting pressure indirectly. People are blackmailing people with the word of God. It has to stop. You sell holy water. You sell holy oil. You sell holy candle. You sell holy handkerchief. You sell everything to people. Where is that in the Bible? What did Jesus Christ sell? What did Prophet Muhammad himself sell? So the problem is from the family, because these same pastors won't come out from the families.